Hello, and welcome to this impromptu edition of Leninhawk Talk. I wasn't planning to make anything on this topic, but I just recently, like a few minutes ago recently, saw a Twitter thread, and I wanted to kind of talk about the topic of it. So, this woman who, she's in the entertainment industry, but she went to go see Baz Luhrmann's Elvis at an Alamo Drafthouse. And she received a card that said, "No talking or texting. Please respect the movie-going experience and refrain from talking and texting. Continue talking and texting will result in you being asked to leave without a refund. Enjoy the film." And apparently she received it for, quote-unquote, laughing at inappropriate times during Elvis. So a couple of backgrounds. So if you don't live near an Alamo Drafthouse or you've never been to an Alamo Drafthouse, it's my movie theater of choice in my area. But they have a strict no talking, texting, disrupting the movie-going experience policy where if somebody complains about you, then you'll get a warning, and I guess the warning is in a card form. I've never actually seen anybody get a warning before. And after that, they'll throw you out without a refund. I have complained about people talking once at an Alamo. It was when I went to go see the Child's Play remake. There was a couple next to me that kept talking, and they ruined the entire experience. I put up my card, because you order food there by writing on a little piece of paper, and then you stick it up. Since then, they've also instituted where you press a button at the same time, which also alerts them to come up and check your card for what your order is going to be. But I put up my thing that said, like, the couple next to me won't shut the fuck up or something. I don't know if I swore on the card or not. But they didn't do anything. So after the movie, I went and complained, and I got a couple free passes, and, it's fine. Because generally it doesn't happen. And I think once I went to go see The Lodge with my fiance, and she claimed that there were two people talking next to her, and that she complained they did nothing as well. I didn't hear them, though, so they must have been, like, whispering. They were, like, right next to her, and I was one seat, obviously, next to my fiance. So from two seats down, I didn't hear them, but, So maybe that's just my local Alamo doesn't enforce it very well. But so that has happened. But I wanted to talk specifically about laughing at inappropriate times. Well, first of all, I obviously agree with the policy. I think that people who talk during movies are the lowest form of human scum and should be murdered. Kind of a joke there, but I mean, I do think they are the lowest form of human scum. People should not talk during movies. But a couple of people in the thread below this woman's comment, they were also complaining about things like the policy is stupid or whatever. It's like, why? You want people to be able to just talk during your movie? And some were pointing out that, during the movie, they'll have, like, wait staff, and they're dropping off orders, or maybe they're picking up checks or what have you. And some people were saying, like, what's the point of having a no talking, texting policy if that is happening and it's so distracting? To me, I've never found the wait staff issue distracting at all. I mean, they drop things off silently, they pick them up silently. I don't know, maybe I'm just able to hyper focus so that if they're not doing anything like auditorially, it doesn't really matter to me. Plus, they usually, like, duck down when they're doing it. They're not, like, walking right in front of the screen. They're usually, like, hunched over so that they don't impair your line of vision. But, whatever. I mean, Alamo has, like 50 locations across the nation, so your miles may vary as far as how good some of them are. Like, my local Alamo might suck at enforcing the no talking texting, and some other ones might suck at delivering the food to the table in a non-distracting manner, but what have you. But obviously, it's a thing I agree with, and I wish more movie theaters had policies like this. I remember when I was a manager of a Regal for a while, it would always be terrible whenever a PG-13 horror movie would open, because on a Friday night, all of the riffraff and the trash from the local redneck towns would come to see that movie, and they would just talk and hoot and holler so that you literally could not hear the movie. It was basically just like, the screening of Stab at the beginning of Scream 2, where just everyone's talking and everything. And I was always like, if the Regal would allow it, I would just shut the movie off at the projector and tell everyone to shut the fuck up or you have to leave, and without a refund. But instead, the people who complained, they would get free passes to go see another movie, and the people who were talking, nothing would happen to them. So yeah, it was terrible. Eventually, Regal put in a quote unquote adult accompaniment policy at my theater, where on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, No one under the age of 18 would be allowed at the theater after 6 p.m. without an adult's guardian with them, which caused some complaints, especially on like Friday afternoons. But otherwise, that we called it the curfew, but Regal was really big about not calling it a quote-unquote curfew. But that certainly helped. It was just sort of the redneck suburb of Raleigh that I worked at that had it. It was just a mixture of a lot of like the worst types of human being teenagers who would come there, so that helped to cut down on the riffraff. Recently, I went to go see Jurassic Park Dominion. And there was a really trashy couple that was sitting next to me. And I knew they were going to be trashy because they sat down and they immediately tried to order Hennessy. And I don't know who wants to just order shots of Hennessy at a movie theater, but that was usually a bad sign. But the fact that they kind of kept, well, it was a couple. It was really only the man of the couple who kept talking during it. But because Jurassic World Dominion was such a shitty movie, I didn't care. Usually the lower the quality of the movie is, the less I also care if people are talking during it. And no one seemed to complain about him, or if they did, then nothing was enforced. So your miles may vary on this kind of thing. But specifically, I want to talk about the laughing at inappropriate times thing, because I can see a couple ways this can go. Now, I hate Baz Luhrmann, so I have not seen the film Elvis, and I don't know what scene or scenes this woman had been laughing at, but it's possible that they were scenes where the laughter is inappropriate or unintentional, because I can see a couple different sides of this. There's a movie that is intentionally funny, but the audience is too dense or stupid to realize it's supposed to be funny. I can see movies like that. Let's say like a movie like Parasite, or even Crimes of the Future. There's those ones that they don't announce themselves as comedies, but they have very intentional humor. And if you're in the audience and you get the humor, but the rest of the audience does not, they may think you're laughing inappropriately. But then I also think of, I went to go see the movie Possession, the one with Sam Neill. It was a 4K restoration. The movie's from like the early 1980s. And there's a couple scenes in that movie, actually almost the entire movie, where there's a lot of like maximalist type acting and maximalist type of emotions going on. There's that famous scene where the lead actress in the movie is having this over-the-top breakdown in like a subway. And there were some people who were laughing inappropriately at that because it's not meant to be funny, but they were obviously too immature and didn't know what movie they were going to see that day. So there's that. And I mean, obviously you can take like the worst case scenario, which is like somebody cackling at Schindler's List or something. But there's certainly times where laughing at a movie is inappropriate. Like the humor is not intentional. It's not meant to be funny, and the only reason you're finding it funny is because you're a fucking idiot. That's an option. But then there's also movies where the humor is intentional, but the audience is too dense or stupid to realize it's intentional, and so they think you are inappropriate for laughing at it. And then there's, I guess there's sort of a mix. There's like sarcastic laughter, if a movie is trying to be funny, it's not, and you're like, ha ha ha, or something. Or there's movies that are just so bad they're funny, like Cats or whatever. And that I can understand. If somebody's enjoying the movie on its intended level and you're laughing ironically, that can also. So I think it is appropriate to scold or warn someone from laughing at inappropriate times. It's just without having seen Elvis, I don't know if this is one of those cases. But then I was looking, it wasn't so much the woman who posted this, because I assume she was just laughing at like the hyperkinetic absurdity of Baz Luhrmann's editing or whatever, because Baz Luhrmann's style is very over the top. Your Great Gatsby or Moulin Rouge, that Romeo plus Juliet. I mean, all those garbage movies that I fucking hate, because I really fucking hate Baz Luhrmann's movies. But you might find yourself tickled pink by some sort of filmmaking technique he's using, and you might laugh at it. But I can understand, some blue-haired biddies who are just fans of Elvis Presley who go into the movie and they don't get it, and then they complain about you. So I can assume something like that happened. It was just really kind of pissed off looking at the more of like the replies in the thread of people like saying like they don't agree that that they don't believe that there is such a thing as laughing at inappropriate times and people should be scolded or anything like that. I guess it was just people's reactions to it that sort of caught me off guard. It was like I thought, okay, maybe in this particular instance with this particular woman at this particular movie, it may have been justified for her to laugh and the warning was an overreaction. But in other cases, I do think that is an appropriate way. I mean, I don't know if the Alamo Drafthouse staff can be proactive at warning people or if they only react to someone complaining. But chances are, if somebody gets one of these cards like that, it's because another patron did complain. So, I mean, regardless of whether you think you're in the right or wrong, you are infringing on someone else's movie experience if you are getting this warning, unless the staff is being proactive. So I think that should also be taken into consideration as well. But I don't know, I just kind of wanted to talk about that because I was just taken aback by the people who were defending the idea of laughing inappropriately at movies, or that laughing at a movie inappropriately is not cause for being upset if you're a fellow patron in that theater, and also just the people who found like the wait staff distracting. I've heard that in a couple different like Facebook threads and Twitter threads, and maybe it's other Alamos, or maybe because I'm autistic I can hyper focus on the movie I'm there to see. But I've never had that problem where I've been distracted by like other people getting their orders dropped off. I mean, it's not like super loud or anything. So I don't know. But what do you think about, I don't know, no talking policies in movies? If you talk during a movie, just unsubscribe to me because I probably wouldn't like you in real life. But like no talking policies, how strictly they should be enforced, laughing at inappropriate times. I don't know. Just just leave your thoughts. I'm curious about crowdsourcing people's thoughts about this particular issue, especially because I saw this thread. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks everybody. Have a good one.